All right, hey, if you're watching, this is Pigeon Trades. This is my personal trading journal. I figured I'm going to be doing it anyway. I might as well be recording it. So, first off, I am in no way an expert. I'm still learning, but I figure you can come along with me if you want. So, I typically trade SPY options, and I like to go through and look at the resistance and support levels. I do most of my work off of that, as well as the volume, RSI, and the EMAs. Um, so as far as today, we hit an all-time high that had a pretty big gap up. I wasn't really sure if it was going to hold. Um, if I go down to today, my latest strategy has been really waiting for that first. I think I have the 5 minute window here, the first 5 minute candle mapped, and then waiting until it breaks out of that, and then looking for the gap up. I tend to want to wait to see if it tests it, which it did here, and then continue to trend up after that. I entered around here actually when it broke out of the second box, and it wasn't a day trade. I was holding I think it expires on the 10th, November 10th. But yeah, and then we were trending upward. I was kind of surprised that we jumped up that far, just given the news lately and where we are and all the all-time highs. And there's a lot of bearish sentiment that I've seen lately. But here we are. So in terms of tomorrow, we're definitely in price discovery mode. There's not really any existing resistance levels that we can really point to. I mean, we have the overnight high, or where we are right now. So let's see. I'm on the West Coast. It's 8:45 here. So we're looking at the high overnight so far, or after hours, was 686. So I'll go ahead and just mark that as a line to keep an eye on. And then it looks like we're just kind of in some chop right here around the 185 mark. Obviously the volume is really slow because it's overnight. Still relatively bullish. It looks like we have some, let's see. Let's jump out a little bit. Go back and look at the 1 month. And I've also been tracking longer term channels. Actually, I'll jump out farther. So we had 3 trending channels that I've been kind of monitoring here. Let me go even further from that. So we have a wider channel, and then there was a smaller channel here and another channel here that were all kind of converging on together. So I've been paying a close attention to that. And if I take it down to the month here, actually 3 months is probably better. I'm essentially looking or expecting, except for today where we had a massive gap up, was expecting it to kind of stay within these 3 channels. So we have, it's the blue lines here. So there's the light blue channel, and then there's the smaller channel right here. And then there's another middle channel that goes through. And I was really kind of expecting it to stay right in this area. So I would expect to have some pullback, at least to, maybe like 180, 183, or even farther down here to like 678. That was a huge, what was that, Friday, when it kind of was just stuck right at 168 the whole time. So I'm really looking for this area right here, unless we have some really bad news come out. I'm not sure what that would be. It could, it could be pretty much anything at this point with the world. But, sorry, I'm jumping around. I go out. And these are just, let me get rid of these. I try not to trade in the first 15 minutes. So I put a line there to make myself stop. I mean, I have most of the resistance mapped out here. All right. Go to the 4-hour chart. All right, so we have the 178. That was the big one. I'm kind of wondering if at some point we're going to touch that again. That was a pretty big dip and jump up. These are ones I mapped today, the 183, like the 183 lines. We might retrace that or hit that as resistance, but I don't know. I'm looking probably lower down here is stronger resistance that we would see. Overall, I think the market's pretty bullish, but it's definitely kind of in discovery mode. There's a lot of big earnings this week, as well as the Fed's press conference and rate decision on Wednesday. So that could be, I would expect that it wouldn't keep running higher until then. Even though it does seem like there's already a lot of positive sentiment around that. So maybe it will, but I would expect some pullback and some hesitancy until we see the outcome of that. If it holds above 180 through the press conference, which, here we go, 180, which is really more of like a psychological resistance line. I don't think we actually had a lot of technical resistance there. Let me see. Yeah, so, I mean, let's take it down here. Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have any technical resistance around the 680. I mean, as soon as we got out of the 678, that's when we had the big pop-up. So, I mean, I think that's probably more of just a psychological line. And I mean, I can mark it here, but I'm not expecting that to be a huge factor. I'm not really even expecting this 683 to be a huge factor, to be honest. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Not a back end. So, I mean, I think in a really bullish scenario for tomorrow, we might have probably pull back to 683, retesting where it is now, unless it goes higher overnight, 686. Then probably if it does want to continue running up, I'm sure we'd probably see some psychological levels around 690, definitely around 700. I would be pretty surprised, honestly, if it hits at 600 before Wednesday, before the Fed news, but you never know. Here, let's put some arrows here. So, I mean, bullish, I'm seeing like a retest and then potentially like testing 690 and then potentially 7. I would say 700 is probably the least likely scenario. And then in terms of bearish scenario, let's see. Let's make it red. Gapping down, testing 683 again, not holding that support line. And then I would say we would want to probably hit, well, this looks like it's 679, but 678 was that big one. So probably maybe chopping in here a bit and hopefully not breaking below. If it does, I think we're probably potentially going down to this 663, which could be a pretty big jump down. It's a pretty wide range, but there's a lot going on this week with we're at the all-time high, so a lot of different directions it could go in. I'm going to map the rest of these resistance lines here. Let's see, 690, and then 700 is where I would expect to see a ton of resistance. there. So I do have a call option on this right now. I probably close it out, you know, before Wednesday, just because I don't know if I want to hold it through then. Um, but we'll see. And then in terms of other resistance, I think that's, those are probably the big ones. Um, Want to keep an eye on volume, want to keep an eye on RSI. As far as tomorrow, I'll watch when it opens. I'll map the first either 5 or 15-minute candle for like kind of like the window, that window of opportunity to see where it breaks out. And then I always wait for it to retest before I enter any trades, um, just to have that double confirmation. But that's it as far as my prep for tomorrow. I mainly only do SPY options. Sometimes I do other trades. I've been watching Netflix for a while. It had that big jump down. Hold on. It had that big jump down. And I was waiting for it to bottom out to potentially pick up some calls. Which I don't really know. I probably should have just bought puts at that point. When I started considering it around here, I haven't really traded Netflix, so I don't know the stock too much, but I try to kind of monitor a stock before I jump into it. If I do start to see some, more bullish trends here, I'd probably be looking into picking up a call and riding it to one of these resistance points. So these are newer, so probably if it was able to break out like here, there could be a potential ride from the 1232 to the 1265. But then even after that, we're looking at another, I think this is all-time high, so it would kind of be more into price discovery mode. Other than that, though, I'm not really watching any other stocks right now. I kind of keep an eye on what's trending. I don't tend to get too involved in the meme stocks unless it's just for a day trade to try to kind of ride whatever trends are happening. Yeah, hope that's helpful. This is primarily for me. If it helps somebody, that's great. If nobody watches, then I just have a record for myself. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm still learning myself, so if there's things you see that I'm doing wrong, also let me know. And I can get better as I go. All right, thanks, and I'll probably post again tomorrow